The Manhattan Project, a true story of power, politics, economics, and science. In the darkest days of World War II, while Europe burned and the Pacific echoed with the drumbeats of war, a race began. One that would not play out on battlefields, but in the deserts of New Mexico, beneath the ivy walls of universities, and in the shadows of secrecy. It was a race against time, against Nazi Germany, and ultimately against the moral fabric of mankind itself. This is the true story of the Manhattan Project, the most secretive, ambitious, and ethically complex scientific endeavor in human history. Act 1. The Spark. The story begins in 1938 when two German chemists, Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann, discovered nuclear fission, the splitting of the uranium atom, which released an astonishing amount of energy. In an instant, a new form of power was unveiled, one that could destroy cities or fuel the future. But in the wrong hands, it was a doomsday device. Word of this discovery raced across Europe, and a group of Jewish scientists who had fled Hitler's Germany realized the terrifying implications. Among them was Leo Szilard, a brilliant but cautious physicist who teamed up with none other than Albert Einstein to send a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1939. In it, they warned that Nazi Germany might be developing an atomic bomb. Roosevelt responded with a secret directive: begin exploring the possibility of a nuclear weapon. What started as a speculative scientific inquiry quickly evolved into a massive wartime effort. By 1942, the Manhattan Project was born. Act 2. The Machine. The Manhattan Project wasn't a project, it was a colossal enterprise. At its peak, it employed over 130,000 people across dozens of secret sites in the US, Canada, and the UK. Entire towns were built overnight in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Hanford, Washington. In Los Alamos, New Mexico, a secret laboratory rose from the dust, led by the charismatic and enigmatic physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer, with his gaunt frame and haunting intellect, became the soul of the bomb. Around him gathered a dream team of minds: Enrico Fermi, Niels Bohr, Richard Feynman, and many more. They were tasked with turning pure theory into weaponized reality. But beneath the surface of scientific breakthroughs boiled deeper questions. What were they building, and at what cost? While scientists split atoms, generals and politicians calculated strategies. General Leslie Groves, the military head of the project, ruled with iron discipline and bureaucratic genius. Under his watch, uranium and plutonium were mined, enriched, and engineered with relentless focus. The cost? Nearly $2 billion at the time, over $30 billion today, and yet the American public knew nothing. Act 3. Trinity and the Abyss. On July 16, 1945, in the desolate Jornada del Muerto desert, the world changed. At 5:29 a.m., the first atomic bomb, nicknamed the Gadget, detonated in a blinding flash. The sky turned to fire, the earth trembled. A mushroom cloud soared miles into the heavens. The test was named Trinity. Oppenheimer recalled a line from the Bhagavad Gita: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Just weeks later, that power was unleashed not in a test, but on people. On August 6th and 9th, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Over 200,000 men, women, and children were killed. Japan surrendered days later, and World War II came to a devastating end. But the war's end was not the end of the story. Act 4. Fallout. The bombs ushered in the nuclear age, and with it, a Cold War defined by fear, arms races, and the specter of annihilation. Oppenheimer, once hailed as a national hero, was soon vilified for questioning the morality of the very weapons he helped create. He lost his security clearance and was exiled from power, haunted by the implications of his genius. The Manhattan Project's legacy is a paradox. It ended a world war, but it began an era of existential dread. It united the brightest minds in science, but it divided humanity on moral grounds. It demonstrated the heights of American industrial and intellectual power and the terrifying reach of political will when paired with unchecked ambition. Epilogue. Lessons in the Atom's Shadow. The Manhattan Project wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It was a story of power harnessed and unleashed. It was about politicians playing God, scientists becoming soldiers, and economies turning on the wheels of secrecy. It is a story that asks, just because we can, should we? In that question lies the true weight of the Manhattan Project, not just as history,